go to Canvas, please, and find the current events tab for today. And what I want you to do is just get open our document, okay? Google Doc that's attached to that. See these fresh threads that the tennis team hooked me up with? Capitalism right here, Jordan. Capitalism, yay. Destroying the earth one sweatshirt at a time. What's that?
You can like go to thrift stores and get like clothes that have already been used. It's a lot.
Yep. Used to do a little thrift store shopping back in the day. All right, those of you at home, happy Friday to you, or wherever you are at this moment. Trying to get my computer to work. It is going really slow. I probably need to restart it, to be honest. Maybe during the study hall. So I'm gonna go ahead and share this with you and just review where we're gonna go for our current events, and then we're gonna get started here as quickly as we can. Oh, actually, let's see if we can try this again. Jordan, good morning to you. All right. We're gonna go ahead and hop over to modules. This is our last day of current events. So if you haven't presented yet and you have something to present, I would encourage you to do that. If not, I'm gonna go ahead and see who has uploaded something, and then if nothing's uploaded, then you're gonna end up taking a 0 for this project. So hopefully we got something today. Okay, if you're looking on the screen right now in person here, this is the place to click on the Google Doc, and let's see if Kanan is here today. Drag this over here. There's Kanan right there. And then we go back to the modules. Let's go to the current events. Kanan, if you're out there, did you finish your current event last night? Okay, well, we'll come back to you in this period, okay? Armani, are you ready to present?
Yes, I'm ready.
I thought I saw your shared Google Doc come across last night. There it is. Oh, perfect. All right. Tim, click the button on the left-hand side of that. Is it blue right now?
Nah.
Click the button that's lit up, please. And yep, and then the fourth one over where it says computer, turn that button up a little bit. More than that. All right, Armani, are you ready to present?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, fantastic. Let me switch you over from the microphone right now, just to the built-in microphone. And Kylie, you have a question? Do you have a charger? Does anybody in the room have a charger? All right, let me get the new share up here. Okay, great. All right, so those of you in the class, let's get our headphones out. I mean, as in take them out, not get them out and put them in your ear. And put your phones away, please, okay? If there's downtime between presentations, you can go ahead and get them out after you have responded to the question. We got to get as much time as we can. So Armani, talk to us.
My presentation is about the Chinese detention camps. They're located in Xinjiang, China, and they're officially called Vocational Education and Training Centers. They're operated by the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region government and the Chinese Communist Party. Since 2017, there's been more than 1.5 million inmates and more than 85 identified detention camps. The Uyghurs are Turkic-speaking Muslims from the Central Asian region.
So they're not ethnically Chinese people, according to the Chinese, correct? Right?
Yes, correct.
So this could be seen as almost something like what we've been learning about in class last couple of days, huh?
Yes. So currently, the Chinese government is expanding the detention camps in an effort to suppress the Uyghur Muslim minority in Xinjiang, China. And at first, the Chinese government denied that there were detention camps, but images of camp construction were taken with watchtowers. Members of the Muslim minority say they were detained, interrogated, and beaten because of their religion.
One more thing I wanted to add, Armani, just because I think this is going to be a big issue here in the near future. These Muslims came to China because of the Silk Trade route, which was like something we talked about way long ago. But at a time period when like the Mongols were terrorizing like all of basically Afro-Eurasia, these Muslims migrated to this part of China, and now there's the minority, obviously.
So far, 22 countries have disapproved of the detention camps, but 37 countries have defended China in their detention camps. I think things for the Uyghurs will get worse if more countries don't reject the detention camps. The video is just about like what it's like or what they say it's like in the detention camps and what's
Great.
going on with the detention.
Where did that go? Here we go.
We're calling these the new billion-dollar solar panels. They're a new generation of super powerful solar.
We've seen China's Muslim re-education.
Yeah, weird they call them re-education. All right, here we go.
Camps the way the Chinese wanted us to see them on a tightly controlled tour earlier this year. And we've seen glimpses from leaked videos like this one. China says the camps stop Muslim Uyghurs from becoming extremists and offer free job training. But now an inside look in the Chinese government's own words. A leaked 9-page memo reads like a how-to manual, telling officials to strictly implement measures to prevent escape. That means 24/7 video surveillance, watchtowers, and double-locked doors.
The headline is, we're doing something really nasty to a lot of people and it's secret.
Adrian Zenz is a German researcher who's considered an authority on China's detention of ethnic minorities. Did someone take a huge risk in reading these documents?
In Xinjiang, people have been sentenced to death for much less.
Zenz estimates up to 1.8 million Uyghurs and other Muslim minorities have been sent to the camps since 2017. That is a stunning number of people. 1.8 million people in camps.
Well, it's probably the largest internment of an ethnic or religious minority since the Holocaust.
A series of classified bulletins show how easy it is to be singled out by the Chinese government for education and training. Simply using a certain app or communicating with people overseas can draw suspicion. In 2017, Rushan Abbas, a Uyghur American, stopped calling her family in China to protect them.
There are over 1 million innocent Uyghur people.
But then last year, she criticized China during a public panel in Washington.
6 days after I talked,
My sister and my aunt both got abducted on the same day as a retaliation for my activism.
You don't think it was a coincidence?
I don't think so.
Her sister is still missing. You literally don't know where she is.
No, I don't. I don't even know if she's still alive or not.
When the Chinese government says these are vocational camps, they're helping train people for new jobs, what do you say to that?
That is a complete lie. Many people in the camps are university professors, writers, poets.
This is a story they don't want to get out.
David Stilwell is the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for East Asia and the Pacific. The Chinese government views this through the lens of terrorism. And they have said things like, well, the U.S. had a war on terror. That's what we're doing here.
You can't lock up a whole group of people and somehow identify them as terrorists in advance. A terror event on your own people to prevent terrorism, just that doesn't make sense.
If you could talk to your sister, what would you say to her now? I'm sorry.
You tell her mom that Blue Tail is mine.
She's there because of me.
Why is she? Yeah.
But I want to tell her to stay strong. Stay strong and believe that she will be free, hopefully someday soon.
In response to a request for comment on the documents, the Chinese embassy in the United Kingdom told our partner in the consortium, the Guardian newspaper, the personal freedom of the trainees is fully guaranteed. The U.S. recently imposed sanctions on some Chinese companies implicated in the surveillance of minorities in Xinjiang. There are more details about that program in the documents, and we'll have much more on that tomorrow morning on Today.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out Howard.
All right, gotta go ahead and switch the share back here. If you're paying attention, this is a big issue worldwide, because obviously many of you know how much products we get from China, and I'm curious to see if our government will do anything more drastic or not. Go ahead, Armani.
The first discussion question is, do you think there's a way to stop the detention camps? The second is, do you think the Uyghurs will ever be released from the camps? And why do you think the detention camp started?
Jeez. These are some loaded questions in world history. As everyone's answering this, I want to just think about that the Chinese did this twice. If you're in AP World History, talk about this. I don't know if Jack remembers. You remember Mao's Great Leap Forward, or the Spring Movement? Well, the guy who made China faux communist did this twice and killed millions of people. And now all of a sudden it's happening again, but they're disguising it as a war on terror. Interesting. Did the US detain 1.8 million Muslims after 9/11? I'm sure they did some shady things. I'm not going to defend them that much, but they didn't put 1.8 million people in a re-education camp. Yes. Excuse me? After Pearl Harbor, we're going to get to that. If we can finish World War II, we will get to that on Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. Actually, Wednesday for sure. The United States did put people of Asian descent, various different ethnicities, in what was called relocation camps, just like this, and some Germans as well. They were on the East Coast. But not after 9/11, though. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, the U.S. isn't perfect. We all know that. Let's go through these real quick. If anyone wants to answer, whether you're online or in person, do you think there's a way to stop the detention camps? I'd love to hear your perspective on this. Anybody? A way to stop it? Yes, Ian. If that would be so scary just because of the fact of the way that they've just built their army up recently. I just want to tell the people online if they can't hear you, maybe I'll put the microphone back on. Ian said that basically it's going to come down to economic warfare. And if that doesn't work, then it's going to come down to actual war, which could be World War III. I don't know. I guess I can't predict the government because I'm not the government. I don't know if this issue would cause something like that. But economically speaking, President Trump was really hard on, hey, Kyla, I'm actually talking. You could maybe put the phone somewhere else when I'm talking, trying to help you be a global citizen. That's what we try to do in Washington Township. Economically speaking, if the United States crippled China's economy enough, along with Britain, Germany, and Russia, maybe they would stop this, but that didn't work. I don't know if it would go to World War III. That is like the question I was wondering if someone in here could get to. You got it.
I feel like the biggest problem with crippling their economy though is it would make everybody in the country suffer. And that's not
Yeah,
good, but we also
we'll just
need to
make
stop
poor-
this.
That's the history of China. The rich people will just stay rich. The poor people will get poorer and their lives will be worse. So we're not actually helping them at all.
Yeah.
The other thing is we're way more focused on Iran right now. If you saw the push update from CNN, but Biden is threatening to freeze Iran's money in the United States. They have like $1 billion in the United States. That would cause some problems. Let's go number 2. Try to stay on topic. I'm not going to. I'll try. Do you think the Uyghurs will be released from the camps? Ethan, what do you think?
I have an answer to the first one.
Go ahead.
Probably try. I think we could try Chinese leaders for war crimes as well. That could be an option.
That's the diplomacy that we have, that we are afforded as a world right now, is that we have a functioning United Nations. Unlike what you saw yesterday with the Japanese invaded China and then just dropped and left the League of Nations without a punishment. If China did that today, if the United Nations said, no, you can't do this, if this does get to that point, the United Nations will put sanctions on them, and the United Nations has an army.
Yeah.
And so this is all this gray area that I think will play out. Let's say in a year from now, if you were sitting in these seats, we'll know what's going to happen. I think within 12 months. Yes.
Do you think there would be any chance the United States could actually join the UN?
We are in the UN.
We are.
We're one of the 5 founding members. There's 5 members that have seats on the defense committee. Okay. Russia, the United States, Great Britain, France, and here's the kicker. You ready for it? China. So it's doubtful that China is going to vote against themselves to have military sanctions against them. The other kicker, though, is when they made the United Nations compared to when they made this dumb League of Nations, is there's 2 seats on the defense committee that float. So every 2 years, they replace it with different countries around the world. So it could be Kenya and Sweden 1 year or 2 years, and then it could be Argentina and Indonesia 1 year. Does that make sense? So that's why the United Nations functions a little bit better than, not a little, a lot better than the League of Nations. All right, do you think the Uyghurs will all be released from the camps? Anybody want to respond? Those of you online, I'd love to hear your perspective, because there's a lot more of you here than there is in person right now. If not, then why do you think the detention camp started? This is also an interesting question. Tim, let's get a response.
I have an answer for the third one.
You don't know why they started?
No.
Well, they're Muslims and they're living in China. And China doesn't even allow you to profess a religion. These people want to praise Allah, who is their God, or the God, and they don't like that. And so then they're trying to associate them as jihadists or Muslim terrorists because they're just Muslims. Again, super questionable. Okay, let's give Armani a round of applause. Good presentation. I was waiting the whole semester when I got on the last day for that topic to come up in this class. We had a chat function Nathan says, I don't think it'll stop because China has such a large government. It's not a fairly valid point. Alexis, are you out there? Alexis, did you turn your presentation in?
Yeah,
Okay, did you upload it to Canvas?
yeah.
Perfect. Okay, I'm gonna pull that up and we're gonna get to you next. Make sure you're filling out the Google Doc. Do I need to go babysit and look? Or can I trust that you are all doing your job? Or can one of you just look for me? So I don't have to press 19 more buttons on top of the 19 we already did. Is it pretty full?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, looks like we have the Myanmar protests.
Yes.
The Google Doc is located, Kanan, on the current module that we're on. At the bottom of that module, week 17. Now, let's see if this will work. Alexis, is there any way for you to share this as a Google Doc with my email address that I cannot use this PDF?
How I do that?
It's all right. We're gonna roll with this. We gotta work. We gotta move on. Okay, it's all good.
Okay.
Alexis, her name isn't on the doc according to that. That's because I was looking at the wrong list. So where it says Chris, it should say Alexis. Does anyone want to fix that for me? Thank you. All right, so Alexis, go ahead and walk us through the Myanmar protests.
Okay, so in November, the NLD won by a landslide, more than 80%, but the Myanmar military accused Suu Kyi and her party NLD for doing voter fraud. The military took control. Ms. Suu Kyi was held at an unknown location facing various charges. Suu Kyi was hit with 4 charges that could result in years-long prison sentence that caused protests to break out. Protesters are demanding that the military hand back power to civilian control, and they also want the release of Suu Kyi and other civilian leaders. The military announced state of emergency for the next year. They have shut down social media and the internet. Some protesters honking horns, banging pans, and giving 3-finger salutes. Over 2,000 people have been detained, 138 killed, including kids. The military has imposed restrictions, including curfews and limits to gatherings, and their army is killing protesters. I hope that the protests will come to an end and they release Suu Kyi, but I don't think that'll happen anytime soon, since this has been going on since February and it is now May and protests are still going on.
I don't know how I would get this link. Anybody have any? Oh, we got it. Still works.
The United Nations says 38 people have been killed during protests in Myanmar in the worst day of violence since the military coup last month. Security forces opened fire on large crowds in several cities across the country, despite the growing international condemnation. Viewers may be upset by parts of this report by our Southeast Asia correspondent, Jonathan Head.
The conflict in Myanmar is now a battle for control of individual neighborhoods. Residents and protesters barricading themselves in, police and soldiers sweeping through to get people off the streets, and sometimes shooting at those brave enough to film from their apartments. Here, the protest organisers used fire extinguishers to obscure the view to try to avoid being shot. Because that is what the military government is prepared to do to reassert its control. This was 19-year-old Jen Sin today in Mandalay. Her t-shirt reads, "Everything will be okay," but she also carried a label with her blood group in case she was hurt. She was killed when a bullet struck her head.
Jeez.
Here in the city of Monowa, the police were filmed as they dragged away another victim. The security forces are also arresting large numbers of people. In this neighborhood, it seemed, arresting every resident they caught. And they exercise little restraint. This security camera video shows 3 medical volunteers being savagely beaten. If there is a strategy in these shocking scenes, it is perhaps to crush what's now a nationwide rebellion with brute force, in the hope that the rest of the world will in time accept the reality of military rule once more in Myanmar. Jonathan Head, BBC News.
All right, go ahead and walk us through our discussion questions, please.
All right. So, do you think the protests will stop anytime soon, and why? And if you lived in Myanmar right now, what would you do? Or do you agree with the military in Myanmar is doing and why?
All right, let's go ahead and give Lexus a round of applause, please. Thank you. The video was disturbing, to say the least. Go ahead and answer one of these 3 questions, please. We'll be back in about 90 seconds. All right, let's go ahead and take a chance. If anyone wants to look at any of these 3 questions, go with Jacob since he was just on his phone. What do you got? Which one did you answer? 1, 2, or 3? 2. If you lived in Myanmar right now, what would you do?
I would be hiding.
Hiding?
I would not be in there.
Okay. I would personally probably try to leave. Except I don't know if any country that has a safe democracy is allowing people into their countries right now. COVID. So it's an interesting fight. Do the people in the room here understand this is a fight for this thing called democracy? Okay, Jordan, do you know what democracy is? You don't know what democracy is? I have failed you as a history teacher. Yes.
Isn't this similar to what happened in,
Can you say it a little louder, please?
isn't this similar to what the protests that happened in Hong Kong?
Yeah.
too?
Well, in Hong Kong, they're on bought time because of their freedom from the British. The Chinese could technically treat Hong Kong however they want to, but they've given them amnesty for a long time, and people have gotten used to it. In this instance, Myanmar has been an absolute mess since the Vietnam War, and realistically, the fact that the people don't have a say in who their government is, it means they're not democratic. And the United States in particular likes to tell people or likes to give people the opportunity to have leaders that they choose. Well, they have an election, 80% of people vote for one party, and the party that loses throws a fit and goes in and takes over the government with a military coup, and then starts killing people on the streets who are protesting. So that's an anti-democracy. Yes.
I mean, I know the US is trying to stay out of other countries. I know the US is trying to stay out of other countries' problems, and I think that is important. But if we're fighting for democracy and telling other countries they need it, why aren't we saying anything or stepping in?
Well, because we stepped in, since 2000, the United States has stepped in. So the Cold War between the Russia and the United States ended in 1990, 1991, okay? So the United States since has stepped in a handful of issues. Some of you, have you ever seen the movie Black Hawk Down? So we got involved in Somalia in a absolutely terrible mission that went awry. We got involved in Benghazi, if you've ever heard of that, in Libya, and our embassy, our like trading post was bombed and a bunch of Americans died by insurgents. We got involved in Iraq and Afghanistan. Both of those didn't go well. So now the government is starting, and the American people are starting to think we just need to let people fix it for themselves versus jumping in and trying to tell people what they can and cannot do. The thing is, though, when that happens, you deal with the last two current events we've had. Okay, people making concentration camps, people killing people for trying to protest their idea, aka this is why I wanted you to learn about the French Revolution. It's a really easy example of the people protesting and actually getting change. Now we have these things happening, and there is, because of the way the world has evolved, the US looks like the only government to do anything, and yet it's not. Is it really our job? You know, it's a tough one. Yeah.
I feel like every time someone has stepped in to stop, like, I mean, these are like literally like war crimes. These are
War crimes. Yes.
wrong, but
Yes.
I feel like every time someone has stepped in and tried to stop the mass murder of a group of people, it's resulted in war. So I feel like that's that could happen, especially with what's going on.
Yeah. Well, and another issue is the United States spends 10 times more money on its military than the next 9 largest countries in the world combined, including China. And so the American taxpayers are fed up with paying for wars that are 3,000, 5,000, 15,000 miles away, and would rather the money be spent on resources like helping to promote social justice and making our communities, safer and more opportunities for people than going and fighting a war 15,000 miles away. I'm just playing devil's advocate so you see kind of how things have evolved the last 20 years. All right, thank you so much. We're gonna stop there. Kenyon, you ready to go? I gotta get this turned off that time.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Did you happen to upload it to Canvas, or do you want to just share it with me?
I'll share it with you.
Thank you. It's too bad some of you aren't awake, because this is actually really those are two fantastic topics. And these are going to have consequences on the world, the future here soon. Okay. I'm checking my email right now and just waiting for the shared document to show up. I think it just came in. Yep. All right. We're gonna have to hustle here. Come on now. Oh, big tech companies take over the world. This is interesting. This is more of a. Wait, are we going to write their questions down? What do you mean, Francesca? I'm not following you on that one. Francesca, what do you mean? Oh, I got more chats. Okay, all right, all good. All right, here we go. Big tech companies take over the world. Kanan, you are up.
Okay, so yeah, that's my topic.
If you don't mind, can you try to yell into your microphone? We're having a little trouble hearing you in here.
So big tech is just a name given to the biggest companies that dominate in the information industry. Right now, they're being put on the spot because they're violating antitrust laws, which are like getting people's data and stuff and using it, and they're making monopolies over business. I think that they'll continue to do that because they're pretty powerful and it's really hard to stop them sometimes.
Okay, 341 to 641.
Yeah.
We're calling these the new billion-dollar solar panels. They're a new generation of super powerful solar panels that was just released on the market after billions of dollars of investment and research
seen
by the
this
world's
ad.
top technology companies.
Easily 50 times in the last 2 weeks.
Mr. Pakai, in 2007, Google purchased DoubleClick.
And uses it.
Hey, Mr. Pakai, thank you so much for that. I am concerned that Google's bait and switch with DoubleClick is part of a broader pattern where Google buys up companies for the purposes of surveilling Americans, and because of Google's dominance, users have no choice but to surrender. In 2019, Google made over 80% of its total revenue through selling of ad placement. Is that correct, Mr. Pakai? About 80%? Yeah, okay. And because Google sells behavioral ads targeted to each of us as individuals, the more user data that Google collects, the more money Google can make. More user data means more money. Is that correct?
In general, that's not true. For example, when
More
you come
user
and
data,
type
not the more
most of the
money
data
Google
we use
collects?
within
So you're saying more user data, it does not mean the more money that Google can collect.
Congressman, most of the data today we collect is to help users and provide personalized experiences back. Ad
Okay,
data is
thank you so
not
much,
relevant
Mr.
with mine at
Pakai.
all.
Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Mr. Zuckerberg, in March of 2012, you suggested by email to your management team that moving faster and copying other apps could, quote, prevent our competitors from getting footholds. Sheryl Sandberg responded that, quote, it is better to do more and move faster, especially if that means you don't have competitors build products that take some of our users. Facebook's product management director added that, quote, I would love to be far more aggressive and nimble in copying competitors. Has Facebook ever taken steps to prevent competitors from getting footholds by copying competitors?
Congresswoman, I view it as our job to understand what people are finding valuable in all of the services that they use. And certainly if someone—
Do you copy your competitors?
Congresswoman, we've certainly adapted features that others have let in, as have others copied and adapted features that—
I'm not concerned about others. I'm just asking you, Mr. Zuckerberg, since March of 2012, after that
Just
email.
for time purposes, we got to stop this year, but I swear to God, over the summer, I'm going to watch these because I'm very interested in this because big tech companies piss me off. But that's annoying too. I don't really know I don't really know like total laws of the government if we're allowed to be doing that or not. Kanan, go ahead and walk us through your questions, please. Kanan, you there? Oh, we got a chat box. Okay, I'll go ahead and do it. Do you think that big tech companies will stop using practices that are dishonest? Hard no. Do you think that big tech companies use things like copying other business, collecting data? Hard yes. Do you think that the US and Europe calling them out will help anything? Hard no. Sorry. These are all great questions and something that has to be figured out because you all are being tracked on your Chromebook every second you're sitting here. I am being tracked by like 9 different devices right now. Zoom's collecting data on me. Google's collecting data on me. USDA is collecting data on me. Apple's collecting data on me. I mean, as I'm talking to you right now, I'm being tracked by so many different things. I don't understand why I get solar power ads. I don't want to buy solar power. I don't have the money right now. But other than the most of the other ones are pointed at like, oh, diapers for sale. Because I go to Costco and buy diapers. Go ahead, Luke, what do you think? Answer 1.
Well, like number 2, I said that like they're trying to like make their company better in any way, even if they're like stealing other company information and how they do stuff. Like it all started somewhere. I bet the first company didn't think of tracking everyone and like putting ads on their company that people are.
Dude, before Google, there was, what did I used to use?
Yahoo?
Yeah, Yahoo was the one, and AOL was doing the same thing in the 90s. These companies who just kept copying each other and making things better and using better formulas and better computers, bigger processing systems, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Make it quick.
Facebook also bought out multiple different social media. Facebook bought multiple social media ads in the past couple of months.
Yeah.
And
That's a common practice in the tech world, though. My wife, when she started out working in Indianapolis, was working for ExactTarget, Salesforce, who's the largest cloud marketer on the same level as Google in terms of that technology, bought them up for $100 million. Yeah.
Have you seen the Social Dilemma on Netflix?
Of course, Social Dilemma on Netflix, it's biased, but it's definitely worth watching. Yes.
credit and debit card companies track what we buy.
Oh, yeah. And then they sell our information to ads.
So if we use physical money, are we gonna get tracked with that?
If we use,
If you use like physical money, will you?
oh yeah, we get tracked a lot less, but there's incentives to use Venmo now. Venmo like has a credit card. Yeah, Amazon has a credit card. Obviously I use Chase, but my Chase points now, I can use them to buy Amazon products. Like they're all now connected. It's crazy. All right, can we give Kanan a round of applause? Irony has it that some of the most interesting topics of the semester fell on the last day. Not the most interesting, they're all interesting, but this one, some of these are really current, I'd say, and gonna change. Before anybody leaves and starts throwing a party and trying to get out of here, I know that I had Tim to present and Francisco. Make sure that you uploaded your stuff to the Google Doc. To the Canvas page. Jordan, you did as well already? You uploaded your.
Yeah.
Okay, so at least we'll get some kind of grade there. And then that's all we've got for today. I want to get the desk cleaned off on time, so I gotta get some stuff done. So thanks. Make sure you participate in the question answering and your homework on Monday. I'm gonna reopen all of the quizzes. I'll tell you the exact ones that are gonna be on the final exam. I want you to take those quizzes for practice. You can take them as many times as you want to, okay? That's where I will be pulling the questions from. I will also add about 15 questions about World War II and the rise of totalitarian governments, okay? Fair? So recycled questions, a few new ones, no writing, 50 questions. And then you can practice them all and hopefully I'll put where you can see the right answer, so it shouldn't be that hard, okay? All right, have a great day, everybody on Zoom. Talk to you later.